How's it going, y'all? In today's video, I thought we'd have a little bit of fun here and go over the quarterback carousel that's currently going on in the NFL. We have 2 of my 7 quarterbacks already just signed. Daniel Jones actually just signed right before the deadline. Let's kind of go over it right now. The first quarterback we're going to be going over is definitely Derek Carr. Derek Carr signed with the New Orleans Saints on a 4-year deal for $150 million, which gives him roughly around $37.5 million a year. I thought it was a good get. At first, it was over $40 million if they would have took the trade on with the Raiders, which they would have had to negotiate it anyway. But Derek Carr comes in. We've got some nice weapons on the outside. Michael Thomas may be back with what he tweeted. He was like, "Thank you, Jesus." So it's kind of insinuated he may even be back with the team. Chris Olave, they've got some weapons. Juwan Johnson's kind of doing some things at tight end. We're not sure what's going to happen with Alvin Kamara. The offensive line is a really good offensive line and have a very good defense. So Derek Carr's in a good situation. Definitely fantasy-wise, could be kind of a mediocre type of quarterback, I would say. Probably maybe even a QB1 in top 12. Probably 12, 13. That's probably where he's going to finish up as. Chris Olave should benefit the most from this move. Having someone that's a little bit more accurate and can push the ball up and down the field is going to definitely bode well for Chris Olave. He has a knack for just throwing some touchdowns, as you can probably see in some of the highlights, that he's been able to catch the ball. He's at a high rate for these receivers, just throwing the ball in the perfect spot for them to catch the ball. So I think it's going to be a good overall type of move for the New Orleans Saints. Signing Derek Carr definitely puts them in a position to make the playoffs. It could be the second ever game played for Derek Carr in the playoffs, and we'll see if we can pull out a win with him in New Orleans. So the second quarterback we're going to go over today is another quarterback who just signed, which would be Daniel Jones. He just signed a 4-year, $160 million contract, which gives him $40 million a year. So he's going to be getting paid a little bit more than Derek Carr. I actually think Derek Carr is a better quarterback than Daniel Jones, but New York felt like they needed to make some type of play. He has made some big plays. Last year, he made himself a lot of money. He played very, very well. So you can't really knock him for trying. It's really hard to find a quarterback in this league. And $40 million is kind of the going rate. As of right now. Do we think Daniel Jones is worth $40 million? I don't really think so, but I think he's a good enough quarterback to get the job done. They have to equip this guy with some wide receivers. They just placed the franchise tag on Saquon Barkley, so they have the running back for next year. Now they've got to get some weapons. I'm hoping in the draft to get some type of wide receiver help, maybe free agency, bring in somebody else, and we'll see what happens. Daniel Jones needs more weapons so he can prove himself. They gave away Evan Ingram, so they're going to need to get another tight end. I'm not sure if Bellinger is going to really be the answer there for tight end, but we'll kind of see how it goes. He's made some really good plays in 2022, and we'll see what 2023 definitely has in store. So let's move on to some of these quarterbacks who haven't had landing spots yet and who I think where they should go or where they will end up going. And we'll start over here with Aaron Rodgers. There's a lot of beats going on right now with Aaron Rodgers and what they're going to do with them. But I really think that ultimately he's going to end up with the Jets, and that's going to make them immediate Super Bowl contenders. They have an amazing defense. You're a lot of young talent on offense. You add Aaron Rodgers to this offense, and you've got something that's happening. It's going to be pretty dynamite. All right, he's actually meeting with the Jets right now, and I think the Packers are just done with Aaron Rodgers. They're ready to move on with Jordan Love, and it could be a good, happy marriage for both sides, depending on what the Jets do have to give up for Aaron Rodgers. But it's going to probably at least include one of their first-round picks, but hey, it's going to be worth it because the Jets can definitely get to the promised land with Aaron Rodgers at the helm. He's made some amazing plays over his career, and he still has some juice left in the tank, whether it be 2 or 3 more years. I think he can get the job done for the Jets, and it would be a good move for both sides. Now, the next quarterback we're going to go over here is another one that's going to be Lamar Jackson. They just placed the non-exclusive tag on Lamar Jackson, so they're giving him free range to go talk to some people, seeing if he can get a deal out there. And if he does strike a deal, then the Ravens have 2 choices. They can let him walk and receive 2 first-round picks, or they can match the offer, bring him back on a 5-year deal, and there you go. Lamar Jackson is where he's going to be the quarterback. But I think no matter how it goes, whether somebody offers him or are they going to keep on working with him, either way they go, Lamar Jackson, they're not going to let him leave out to Baltimore. No matter what offer he gets from another team, I strongly believe that Baltimore will match that offer. You can't just destroy your team like that. Lamar Jackson is the Baltimore Ravens. Without him, they're just not competing, and with him, they can compete. So they have a decent defense, but they need Lamar Jackson. So I think Lamar Jackson stays with the Ravens. I don't think they're going to let him get out of his sights. They're going to let him kind of get out there and say, hey, go ahead and make a deal with somebody else, and then they'll match it, and boom, bada bing, boom, baps, it's done. So you know, he's electric with his legs. He's electric. He can throw the ball down the field. Lamar Jackson is definitely somebody that the Ravens are going to want to hold on to, and I think ultimately they do keep Lamar Jackson. So the next guy we're going to go ahead and talk about is going to be Jimmy Garoppolo. I think Jimmy Garoppolo, he's a good quarterback. He's just not really given the chance. Everywhere he goes, it's like he gets usurped by somebody else, whether it be you know, Trey Lance or whatever the case may be, but he's going to go to a good opportunity. And there's a couple teams actually vying for Jimmy Garoppolo's services, and there's some background with both of these teams. I think ultimately he ends up with the Las Vegas Raiders. I think the Raiders right now, they do have Josh McDaniels as the head coach. He was the offensive coordinator back when he played with the Patriots. I think that if he lands with the Raiders, he's got Devontae Adams and Darren Waller and Josh Jacobs. That could be a really good, dangerous team for the Raiders if Jimmy Garoppolo can get in there and manage the game. Definitely for fantasy football, you could still probably get 20 plus points out of Jimmy Garoppolo a week. He's a decent quarterback, and I think he'll go there. There's another team that's kind of buzzing, which would be the Houston Texans. Right now, DeMeco Ryans is now the head coach over there with the Houston Texans. He was the defensive coordinator for the 49ers, so he knows all about Jimmy Garoppolo and what he can do, and they need a replacement for Davis Mills because I don't think Davis Mills is the answer. So could be the Texans, but I think ultimately the best decision for Jimmy Garoppolo would be going to the Raiders, and because he's got so many weapons there and he can really show out. So the next quarterback we're going to talk about here is going to be good old Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston, as a Saints fan, I was hoping he was going to work out with the Saints, but we got Derek Carr now, and Jameis Winston just can't stay healthy. So what does he do? A lot of people say maybe he could go back into the Buccaneers, but I don't think that's going to be the situation. I think he'll end up with the Washington Commanders. If he is released, the Saints save $12.8 million. I think that's going to happen. The Saints need to save that money. There's no need to have an injury-prone quarterback on your roster, Jameis Winston, and he wants to be a starter. They got the Commanders. They don't have Taylor Heineke no more. They don't have Carson Wentz. They need a quarterback, and I think Jameis Winston can give them that, pushing the field up and down. I think Terry McLaurin, you know, Josh Doxson, they have a lot of running backs over there, you know, Brian Robinson, and they can make some things happen, make some noise happen. I think Jameis Winston could be a good option for the Commanders if they choose to go that way. I think they will. Now, the last quarterback on my list that we're going to talk about today is going to be Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield, I think ultimately will end up with the Buccaneers. Right now, there's some buzz out there that the Rams want him back and the 49ers want. I don't think the 49ers want him. I mean, if you have Trey Lance and then Brock Purdy, why do you want Baker Mayfield? That makes no sense to me. So I think either the Rams are going to try to keep him, or he's going to go to a place, possibly could be either the Texans if they miss out on Jimmy Garoppolo, but I ultimately think Baker Mayfield will end up with the Buccaneers. Right now, they have Kyle Trask right now. He is the rookie from Florida. I think Kyle Trask can be a good quarterback, but they're not completely sold on him because they're saying, well, Kyle Trask, it could be his job right now. He definitely has the opportunity to start if he improves, but we're going to bring a veteran in there to compete with him, and I think Baker Mayfield could do that. And if Baker Mayfield comes in, I think he's clearly better than Kyle Trask, and Baker Mayfield could make some noise happen. Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, they've got some play. They will probably have Rashad White as their starting running back. They're going to release Leonard Fournette. You know, I think he'll go to the Saints, but that may be another video later. But I think that's where Baker Mayfield will end up. He can still make plays. He has a good arm. And I think he just needs a better situation around him. I think the Buccaneers could be a really good place for him. But other than that, I appreciate you guys. That'll be the video for today. If you guys haven't hit the subscribe button, hit that subscribe button. It would really help me out. We have tons of videos coming out here all the way up into the NFL draft. We have Dynasty football coming out here. We got redraft football. We're doing all types of information for you guys to get you prepared to, no matter what your league is, I'm going to get you ready to win a championship. So hit the subscribe button, hang out with me. Let's have some fun, and we'll see you guys on the next video.